Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is for you. I think hopefully for most of the people on the call, it is good morning and a nice way to start the day. So thank you for coming and joining me for Virtual Influence, your guide to navigating online meetings and presentations with confidence, clarity, and charisma. My name is John Ball. I am going to be your guide, your host this morning through this presentation. And I'm from the UK, you can possibly tell by my accent. And I live in the city of Valencia in Spain, where I've been for 3 years. I work in the professional coaching and training industry. I've been doing that part-time started off 15 years ago and full-time 10 years now, and more recently focusing specifically on coaching and presentation skills and teaching those tools of presentation and ethical influence and persuasion to business owners and really anyone who wants to present better. So this is me. As you can see, here I am in Spain. Don't ask about the lamb. That was a public speaking event, but it was a lot of fun. Well, let's have a bit more fun. I'm going to tell you some things about me and about my background, and you have to guess which one of them isn't true, which one of these things is a lie. I am the president of the Valencia chapter of Global Business Owners, the reason why some of you may be here today. I was British Airways cabin crew for 12 years, working in first-class cabins. I have a black belt in kickboxing and in ninjutsu, go Power Rangers. Just like Bert and Ernie, or Epi and Blas if you're Spanish, I'm very happily married. I'm an award-winning public speaker and Toastmasters Vice President of Education for the chapter in Valencia. I know most of the words to I Saw a Tiger by Joe Exotic, and it's my new karaoke song. Don't try and shame me, I'm going to sing it, but not right now. I have my own podcast about presentation skills and the art of ethical influence that's rapidly growing in size and has some incredible guest interviews with some very exciting ones coming up. I'm an international fitness model and man of mystery, as you can see by that fine photograph there. Okay, did you spot which one was the lie? Let me give you a clue. Did you spot the lie? Yeah, I guess you did. Okay, so let's get into what we're here for today. What I'm going to ask you to do today is to be here for you. So this could be one of those presentations that is long and boring, and you can half watch and listen to me talking to myself, or we can have some fun. But in order to have fun, I need you to please engage. So at the moment, the only and the best way for you to do that is in the chat box. So on the big black rectangle on your screen that should appear, you will see an option that says chat. If you have that open, you will be able to type into the chat box whenever I ask you to. There is also a possibility that you can raise your hand. So you will need to click on participants for that to be able to do that. And so if you click on participants, you'll see there is an option to raise your hand, or you should do. If you don't see that, don't worry, you have the chat box. So those are your ways to interact and engage on the call today. So let's check that you can all use the chat box. Type in "I'm awake" into the chat box so that we can hear you, so I can see you. So find the chat box, type in "I'm awake" so I know that you're able to hear me, see me fully, and that you're ready to go. Good, good, good. Okay, thank you. So the next thing is going to be to stay focused as well. So Cal Newport, the professor and author of the book Deep Work, he says that the most important skills for the new business world are going to be the ability to learn and implement new information quickly and the ability to practice deep levels of focus. I want you to practice your ability to focus by resisting the temptation to check your emails or look at your notifications, check your WhatsApp messages, social media, and so on. I'm sure you would hope the same for someone attending one of your own presentations. Be open to learning new things as well, and maybe even relearning some of the things you may come across. You might have heard some of them before, but as soon as you say the words to yourself, "I know that," you will find that you cut yourself off from learning something new. Take notes as well. If you're not taking notes, you're not learning. That's attributed to Bill Gates. I'm not sure if he actually said it or not, but it's good advice. Take some notes. I had hoped to have a workbook for you today. Didn't quite happen in time for today's call, but if you have just a few things that you can take notes on, then you are going to remember more of what you will learn on the call today. And I am going to be sharing some great information. Now, for some of you, it might be early. For some of you, maybe it's late. And I'm going to do my best to keep the call exciting, engaging. I ask that you do your best to keep your energy as high as you can right throughout this call for the next hour or so of us being together. And let's play. Whoever said that business needs to be serious needs a banana skin under their shoe as quickly as possible. Let's have some fun. Let's make jokes. Let's keep things also respectful and supportive for everyone. And I'm going to ask you to stick around to the end. If you stay on to the end, I'm going to send you a copy of my slideshow. It will be minus my personal slides and any written content, but if that's okay with you, but I'll share with you all the pictures and information that's definitely going to be worth having and help you review the information. Maybe even give you some ideas about slideshow creation for yourself as well. We're here for presentation skills, right? So here's what you're going to come away with, what you can expect to take away from today's call. We're going to take a look at overcoming fears about presenting and speaking online and in person, because we will be back to speaking in person again at some point, and we'll be meeting up with people again live when all the coronavirus stuff is said and done. We're going to work on increasing confidence as well. So you can expect to leave the call with some strategies to feel more confident, more like you know what to say and how to say it. You're going to have more clarity on your outcomes, which is my very coachy way of saying that you'll know more about what you want. You're going to learn how you can be more charismatic as well. So the best leaders are not dull and boring personalities. They have something about them that makes them seem that bit more magnetic. We're going to have a little magic as well. We could all do with some magic right now, I'm sure. I'm going to give you a few insider secrets that will help you, and a one-off visualization exercise toward the end of the call that's going to help you visualize your success even more clearly. Also, you're going to have more of an idea of where to go if you want more. So today is just going to be scratching the surface, and I'm going to be giving you as much value as I can pack into this call without overloading you. But we also want to have fun as well. So let's remember that we're here to have fun too. Let's play, let's make some jokes, let's have some laughs. We're not going to be serious here. We learn more when we're having fun, and it's up to you whether you want this to be a pleasant experience or a tedious one. Now, I'm not wacky, I'm not zany, but I do like to stay playful and not just on live webinars. Also, I want you to think about what matters most to you from this webinar, like why you showed up today, and decide what you would most like to take away from our time together. So take a few seconds now just to think about that, maybe even write it down so that you can check in with it later and see if your intention was fulfilled. Now, being stuck at home for days on end can send you a bit crazy if you let it. We can't control world events, and sometimes that can lead to feeling helpless, maybe feeling a bit out of control. There's a lot of fear around right now, and it's possible to get swallowed up and overwhelmed by it, but there is a better way. And being here on this call tells me that you think so as well. So it's essential that we control the one thing that great minds like Marcus Aurelius and Viktor Frankl agree on, which is your inner self. You can control your inner self. You're already doing that today by proving that you are going to make the best of your current circumstances by learning and investing time and energy in yourself. And I salute you for that. Let's get into the learning then. So the real thing is that we want to get past the fear. And one thing that a lot of people have fear about is public speaking and presentation work, right? This is the face of most people when asked to give a presentation, even just a casual one. So whether you are presenting casually one-on-one, or whether you're presenting live to an audience, whether you are presenting yourself or your business in a network meeting, Whether you are presenting online in a webinar or a meeting, it's essential to show up as the best you that you can manage to be. So we want to make sure that we look as professional as possible and that we put the best side of ourselves forward as well with as much confidence as possible. And one thing that's going to prevent us from doing that is fear. And fear creates something that a lot of people don't realize happens, which is uncontrolled movements. So one thing that we need to think about here is, and take a look at, is controlling your movements. So if you don't get hold of the fear, it can take you out of the game. So I'm going to go through some of the things that tend to happen, like controlling your movements so that you can do something about it. If you are not controlling your movements, you may look very nervous. To some degree, the same is true not just in online presenting as in live presenting as well, maybe more so in live presenting as you can be seen more. The bit that needs to be controlled really is the nervous, unconscious movements that you don't realize that you're doing. So rocking back and forth, scratching yourself, guys especially have to watch out for that one. Hand wringing, fiddling with a pen or whatever else it is, it's essential to stop these things altogether. They're distracting and they scream out nervous or lacking confidence. Now, we call this moving with volition. The best thing you can do to help prevent unconscious movement and move with volition instead is to practice your presentations rooted to the spot with zero or only essential movement. Once you can stop the unconscious movement, then you can start thinking about adding movement more consciously. We also want to consider tonality. How do you sound? One thing you would hear over and over again in a Toastmasters meeting or a public speaking skills practice group is about your tonality, your vocal variety. No one wants to hear a monotone, nor do they want the sensory overload of someone who's manic and has shouty energy. So here's where there can be a big difference between online presenting and in person. So you can tell a story in person, you can meander quite a bit, and as long as you're not being dull or too over the top, you can work more in your own natural energy. Online, though, requires you to turn things up a little bit, err on the side of higher energy. Just try to watch that you don't end up speaking too fast, which is one of my bad habits. There are 3 types of tonality that I want you to consider today. One is questioning tonality. So questioning tonality goes up at the end of the sentence. So it would sound something like this. Do you think John really is an international fitness model, a man of mystery? We then have statement tonality, which is more of a declarative and just making a statement, which doesn't tail off or rise up at the end. An example could be, John probably does know all the words to I Saw a Tiger by Joe Exotic. The third one is going to be command tonality. An example of command tonality would be going down at the end. So it could be something like, listen to the Loki podcast. So I want you to be using all 3 of them, ideally, but in the right way. Did you notice how the questioning tonality rises at the end? If you did that all the time, you would sound, well, you'd sound Australian, to be honest. Sorry, Australians out there, but many of you do this and makes everything sound like a question at the end. It's a bad habit and one that was good to break. It's also a habit that sometimes people fall into when they don't feel confident. It gives a sense of uncertainty to the listener, and uncertainty doesn't fit well with confidence. Only your questions should sound like questions. So statement tonality is more level. It doesn't tail up, it doesn't tail down at the end of the sentence. It's more of a good idea not to use statement tonality if you're trying to ask a question, because the listener may just ask you, was that a question? People who are reading their presentations will often use statement tonality excessively because they forget or they don't know where the questions and commands are and where to add the variances. Command tonality usually goes down at the end, and I can ask you to shut the door, and I can tell you to shut the door. but I can't state shut the door because it doesn't make sense. It's not a statement. So I can state that the door is open, the door is closed. Command tonality can be particularly useful when it's embedded. By that, I mean it's a bit hidden in the sentence. So it could be something like, I wish someone would shut the door. I think people should listen to the Loki podcast. I'll try that one again. I think people should listen to the Loki podcast. Ooh, a bit of mind magic, right? So if you're not sure if that works, try it out. Get comfortable using it. And if you've got kids, you're going to love it. Now, I want you to consider as well, what image do you want to project? What image do you think you're projecting? Would it be a good idea to maybe get some honest feedback from people that you trust? Give them full permission to speak clearly if you dare. I did this exercise with some very trusted friends and a few exes as well, I'll be honest. And the feedback was a little, actually, no, it was a lot, but very uncomfortable. And but I grew from it, and you will as well. So as long as you approach this with a growth mentality, you will benefit from the experience. And let's be honest, wouldn't you rather know? So what image do you actually want to project? Here's maybe the more important part. There are different versions of each of us. We are multifaceted beings with capability of demonstrating a full range of emotions. When thinking about what you want to project in a presentation, consider your own emotional state is going to be leading the emotional state of your audience. So if you're bored, your audience is going to get bored. If you're passionate, your audience will become more passionate. Consider the emotional states that fit best with you, your personal brand, your business brand, ones that are ideally authentic to you, authentic natural states that you can utilize, and ones that are appropriate to your audience and useful for them as well. So often when I do a presentation, I want my audience to be somewhat motivated, and I want them to be curious as well. Those would be the states that I would go for, just to give you that behind the scenes insight. What do you say to yourself when you look in the mirror? What do you think? What's the first thought that you tell yourself? Your self-talk can either be supportive or unsupportive. And for most people, it's unsupportive. Well, why is that? We're naturally wired to look for problems and dangers. We've evolved to look for the downside. For our ancient ancestors, this was great because it meant that they survived. When they heard the rustle of grass and leaves and they feared it and took cover, they survived. Their contemporaries who thought it was nothing and ignored it were the ones who got eaten by the saber-toothed tigers or whatever else. So we should thank our negatively focused brains to an extent. Without them, none of us would be here. The thing is, we don't generally face existential fears every single day of our lives anymore. We're not generally living in survival mode. Our brain evolution, though, has yet to catch up with this. As advanced as we are not caught up with this. So what this means is that you can stop blaming yourself for being super hard on yourself, maybe being down on yourself a lot. We are always harder on ourselves, right, than just about anyone else. It also means that you're going to have to do a little work to change that internal conversation and make it a more supportive one. Every day I give myself declarations. Mine are a little personal, but I'm going to share them with you anyway, just to give you a sense of what that is, because some of you may have come across this idea before and wondered, does it really make a difference? I have 2 declarations a day that I'm using at the moment, and I do change them from time to time. One of them is that I'm an amazing podcast host. The other is that I attract all the best people and opportunities. Doesn't that seem like a better thing to be saying to yourself in the mirror than, oh God, I look like crap or whatever else? So since I'd also just got confirmation that the business guru and author of Profit First and his new book, Fix This Next, Mike Michalowicz, is going to be on my show in a few weeks, I'd say it's pretty much working. Now, I want you to be your own superhero as well. Some of you may have come across the principle before, especially if you've learned any neuro-linguistic programming or if you watch a lot of TED Talks like I do. Your physiology affects your mood. So I'm going to ask this we ask you to join in with this and just try this exercise with me now. I want you to slump yourself forward in the seat. So it might mean that you don't see the screen exactly for a moment. Don't worry, I'm not changing the slides. So just slump forward, like shoulders hunched, head down. So it's kind of looking at the floor or at your legs. And put a big smile on your face and tell me, does that feel natural? Does that feel positive and happy to be smiling in that state? Okay, now I want you to try a bit different then. I want you to sit upright, shoulders back, head upright, spine erect, as much as you can, and put a big miserable face on. I'm actually struggling to do this because I really want to smile. So your physiology does affect your mood. And so just even doing this simple test, you feel, well, yeah, something's a bit, you sense a different kind of mood from when you're slumped over and slouched to when you are sat upright and have your spine straight. So there is a very different feeling. Whenever we are asking ourselves how we feel, or even if sometimes someone asks us how we feel, one of the things that we check in with, often unconsciously, is how our body feels in that moment. Now, this is the reason for that, is that your body checks in with your physiology because that's how we test whether we're feeling good or not. And it's like these unconscious things like your posture that you are actually having some kind of awareness of. So if you already do that and you want to change, if you already find that you unconsciously refer to your physical state and you want to change your emotional state, what's one thing that you could do to improve your state, your emotional state? In the chat box, one thing you could do from what I've just said to improve your emotional state. Let's hear from it. I've just talked about it. Declare yourself amazing, yes. From what I just said, think of something positive, dance music, yeah, okay, those are good things. Change your posture. It's really that simple. If you are feeling a bit down and you want to give yourself a bit of a boost, if you're about to do a presentation, change your posture. So these are all good suggestions currently in the chat box, and they're all relevant as well. Now, some of you may or may not have heard of Amy Cuddy. Amy Cuddy has a really great TED Talk, and she's a social psychologist, and I very highly recommend checking out her TED Talk on YouTube, where she teaches something called the power pose. Some of you may have come across this before, and it's like standing like a superhero for 30 to 60 seconds. Doing this before a presentation has been shown to massively increase your confidence. Now, this isn't just her say-so. This has been well researched and documented that your physiology affects your emotional state, and assuming power poses will actually make you feel more confident and even more powerful. As if for those from the UK, you know that somebody told this to the UK government a few years ago, and then suddenly there were a whole load of photos of UK politicians with their legs maybe a little bit too far apart in the power pose, but it was quite entertaining for a while. But think about Superman or Wonder Woman, whichever is your preference. And to do this, you want to have your feet slightly wider than hip width apart. You do need to stand up for this. So if you can right now, stand up and put your feet slightly wider than hip width apart. Put your hands or your fists on the waist with your elbows bent out to the side, like you can see here. If you're tuning in from somewhere where you can't do the power pose right now, don't worry, because if it's that people think you're insane, well, firstly, don't let that stop you. But secondly, you can imagine it. So you can imagine it and the results are still pretty good. So even if you're just imagining yourself in a power pose for 30 to 60 seconds, it's going to make you feel much more confident. Even thinking about imagining yourself in a power pose is going to increase your confidence. Good or good? Okay, I want to hear from you now. What did you like? What did you learn? What can you use? Let's speak in the chat box, please. Tell me what you liked, what you learned, what you can use. Back is stiff. Good to be doing that power pose then. Give it a stretch while you're up there. What did you like? What did you learn? What can you use? Posturing is a thing, absolutely. Power, pose, positive, reflection, posture, cool. Use that next time before I get on stage to present, absolutely. I highly encourage it. pose can increase your own confidence. Yes, thank you. Thank you for all those shares. Great. Very good. Feeling more energized. Wonderful. Okay, moving forward then, we move into clarity. So this is clarity for you and clarity for your audience as well. There are so many different elements to presenting and public speaking. It can be a bit overwhelming, and few could ever hope to learn all of them in a lifetime. That said, there are some fairly consistent basics that we could all master and get better at doing on a regular basis. And from my martial arts training from a young age, the one thing that I learned over and over again and had drilled into my head was about mastering the basics. So we can all do a better job of presenting with clarity, and getting feedback is going to be helpful for doing that. Now, I mentioned earlier that I'm the Vice President for Education in a Toastmasters club. Toastmasters International is the world's biggest and most well-known public speaking practice group. If you're not practicing your presentations and your communication ability, then I highly advise you to consider checking out Toastmasters or similar groups where you can get together and practice your presentations, your own style, your communication, and get feedback on it as well, so that you grow and you develop. If you're not doing that, you may be missing out on a great opportunity for your own development. So think about it. The only way you could learn to play a musical instrument or learn to speak a new language is through practice, right? So if being able to present well is a goal of yours, you have to practice, yes or yes? We want to consider then outcome. We want to start with the end goal in mind. For any kind of presentation or meeting or webinar or video, it's important to be clear on what your intention is. You want to be clear what your intention is and what the goal is for your presentation. Whether it's a prepared presentation, whether it's something more informal, it's a good idea for you to set an intention for the outcomes that you would like to achieve. So this is giving you your clarity of outcome. Earlier on, I asked you to create an outcome for yourself from this webinar, and I hope you did. I'd like some of you maybe to share in the chat box what your outcome was. If you're comfortable to share that, please type into the chat box what was your intention for what you would like to take away from this call. So go ahead and type that into the chat box. Did you notice that command tonality? Ooh, bit of mind magic. What was your intention? Learn at least one new thing. Great, and then practice it. Fantastic. I hope that you will learn at least one new thing. To get tips for a webinar you're doing, great. I hope I can help you with that for sure. Get some tips to improve my online presentation skills. Great, great, great. These are all great answers. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for sharing those with us as well. So here are 4 things that you can and probably should set intentions for your outcomes in terms of your own presenting. One would be your own energy. The other would be what you're actually going to deliver. She's very quick at writing, isn't she? And the other would be outcomes for yourself, what you want to achieve, what you want to walk away with. And the fourth one would be outcomes for others, what you want other people to take away from the event, from the presentation as well. So these are the 4 main intentions for outcomes that I want you to consider with presentations. Now, I can't say that your outcomes are guaranteed in doing this, but it's my belief and my experience as well that you have far more chance of achieving your intended outcomes when you are clear on what you want, rather than just going into it and seeing what happens. After your presentation, you can check in with yourself on how well you did and whether your intentions were achieved. As I'm going to ask you to check in at the end of this call, whether your intentions were achieved. We'll check in with that later on. Clarity of message is essential here as well. And one of the hardest skills to master in life, as well as in presenting, is saying more with less. It's a skill that I'm still working on, and last year I completed something called a nano talk competition. Now you can see it on YouTube if you really want to, and the link is in my website. I'll give you the link to that later. It's a 2-minute talk. So as you can imagine, you have to be very selective about what you put into the presentation and what you leave out. Now, the editing is always the hardest part, but when you get a message down to its simplest form and a story down to its minimum essentials needed to tell it, you will find that brevity is indeed power. Chunking of information is also important. We're covering a lot of ground here today. And if you are making some notes, if you can keep up with the speed I'm going, and you can even watch the replay afterwards, right? We're recording this. So if you want to review it, you'll have a copy of the slideshow so long as you stay on to the end of the call. And also, here are some good general principles to follow as well then. So less is more. Make 2 to 3 clear points that are going to be remembered and understood. 2 to 3 clear points that are going to be remembered and understood. Oops, I might be doing more than that here today. But if you have 2 minutes, you need to make maybe just 1 point. If you have 5 to 7 minutes, or maybe around 15 minutes, 2 or 3 good points. 2 ideal, 2 or 3 is okay as well. The longer you have, the more chance there is to add more information. But remember, it still needs to be engaging, and avoiding overly taxing your audience is part of your outcomes, right? So get clear on the most important things that you want for your audience to take away from the presentation. I'd say as well, leave some space. So we're all socially distancing right now. Leave some space for people to absorb. It's said often that the most important conversation that takes place in any presentation is the conversation in the minds of your audience. So give them time. Otherwise, you're like that comedian who's already halfway through his second joke while the audience has only just started laughing at the first one. It stifles the laugh, it stamps it out, and therefore the humor is stamped out, and sometimes the understanding as well. Find out if you were understood as well. Check in with your audience. If you're presenting live, do they look engaged? Are they bored? Are they engaged? Or are they distracted? You can probably pick up on this with some physical and facial cues in a live presentation environment. If you're presenting online, you're going to need to check in a little differently. Ask some questions, get some chat box responses, help yourself to keep the energy up throughout the entire presentation. Keep the energy as high as you can without it becoming too high. Does this make sense? Give me a yes, John, in the chat box if it's all good and making sense. Good. Fantastic. Okay, I like that. Let's find out then. You see, that was me checking in. Absolutely. Let's have another stop and check in then. What did you like? What did you learn? What can you use in this clarity bit? What did you like? What did you learn? What can you use from what we've talked about? Less is more. Easier said than done. Absolutely. Leave some space for people to absorb. Yep. It's one that I still am improving. Facebook is feedback. I misread that. Feedback is important. Pay attention to it. Not Facebook is important. Give space. Avoid saying too much. Be selective on the information and give space. Slow down. Posture. Be a superhero. Fantastic. Okay. Let's get to the next section then, which is charisma. Charisma is a word that we mostly reserve for people who seem to have what might be described as a big personality. However, we all have the potential to be charismatic. And that happens best when we are being our true selves, our authentic selves. Fully authentic, not trying to be who we think people want us to be. So imagine if there was a movie about your life. Mine would probably be a comedy, but let's not get into genres. The lead actor playing you has come to get some insights into your personality so that they can portray you as accurately as possible. Now, is that going to be a fun or an uncomfortable conversation? Well, we don't have time to run through that exercise right now, but in a live workshop we would. However, it might be one that you'd like to try for your homework. So charisma is a kind of energy and attitude, and that means that you can turn yours up. Now remember here that if I can do it, you can do it. Say it. If he can do it, then I can do it. Yeah, you're damn right you can. So here's one thing that you need to understand. If he can do it, you can do it. The first step of this then is the Duchenne smile. If you've never heard of this before, let me explain this a bit more for you. I'm pretty sure I didn't come across this till a couple of years ago myself, but it is important. It's about slapping a big smile upon your face. But slapping a big smile on your face will change your mood, but not any old smile. Oh no, it has to be a Duchenne smile. That's the only one that will do. And you know how when you're feeling a bit pissed off, when somebody says to you something like, smile, it will never happen, it might never happen. And you want to slap them, but you don't. Instead, you sort of pull this grimace face and hope that that's enough to make them go away. Yeah, you know, right? So, well, not that kind of smile. Notice here that the corner on the picture that the corners of the mouth are turned up at the end, at the sides. That's a proper smile. And that the eyes are also smiling as well. So you can see that the smile is a full face smile. If you can master this, you're going to be instantly more charismatic. A good smile will take you very far. I discovered in my life as cabin crew that you can get away with saying just about anything if you have a big smile on your face. That came in very useful when I was a trolley dolly, believe me. So this is sometimes also called smizing. This is smiling with your eyes. Think about things that are going to boost your mood as well. There are lots of things that can turn up your energy. So that could be things like dancing, great music. Before I go on and perform in a live event, I will always put my positivity soundtrack up in my on my Spotify playlist. It's called Pump It Up, Jono, and it has all these songs on it that motivate me and get my energy turned up a bit higher. I recommend thinking about similar things for you because it's essential that you take responsibility for your personal energy and your state management. So remember your superhero stance, have your own theme song, do your posture, check your posture, put that smile on your face, visualize success, have fun. Couch potato is not a whole mood, and it's certainly not a positive or energetic one. So I suggest that you should always include some kind of physical movement when you're seeking to boost your mood and boost your energy. So let your freak flag fly, unleash the beast and have fun. In charisma and presenting, energy is critical and it needs to be high. Think about engagement as well. You want to get it right without being annoying or without being boring. You don't want to be so pumped up and hyper that you're annoying everybody in the room, nor do you want, and you don't want your audience to hate you right away, but you also don't want to be thinking that you're doing a truly great job and then discover afterwards that you were dull and low energy. So my natural state is relaxed. I'm very laid back kind of guy. And sometimes if I was any more laid back, I might just fall over. So as you can imagine, I've had to work pretty hard at turning my energy up for presentations. So unless you're naturally high energy, for most people aren't, then you will need to work on turning it up a little. So unless you're super loud and over enthusiastic, in which case you may need to take it down a few notches. Getting some external feedback from people who can give you reasonably objective comments or even some external coaching might give you what you need, and give people permission to give you honest, real feedback as well. Maybe tell you the things that they can see that perhaps you don't. Your communication style is going to be important as well. Yes, you have a communication style, a natural style that you are more comfortable in. You might be a direct communicator, an indirect or inferential communicator, supportive, initiating, aggressive, analytical. When you know your style, you can maximize its potential, and you can learn how to switch to other communication styles depending on the situations that you're in. This is going to make you a better communicator in any situation. And when it comes to communication, flexibility really is power. Your leadership style as well. We all have a natural leadership style, believe it or not. You might have a coaching style, a democratic style, or authoritative. You might be a visionary, a benevolent style, collaborative, bureaucratic, pace setting. Bring out more of your natural leadership tendencies is going to help you stand out, and being able to adopt other leadership styles might just be essential to your professional life and success. I'd say empathy and service are important here as well. There's a term I hate as it seems to be used mostly by bigoted internet trolls, which is called virtue signaling. And as far as I can tell, it's meant to describe someone who is only pretending to care about something and have empathy in order to score political points or seem politically correct. I'll take fake empathy over no empathy any day, but real empathy is where it's at. And we can generally tell when someone really cares or not. And right now in the global business environment, a lack of empathy is going to do a lot of damage to a business and going to lose lots of business and sales. Right now, we all need to be caring, showing that we care. And I've interviewed quite a few successful people in my podcast and various business leaders and in my networks as well, the people who I speak to. The best leaders I've encountered and chatted with have all expressed that service and the greater good of their employees and their team are their highest values in business and of what have helped to make them particularly successful. So we want to visualize the full package and practice. So long as it's safe for you to do so right now, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and close your eyes. Go ahead and please close your eyes for this visualization exercise. And imagine you're standing in front of an old, dark, full-length mirror. The image starts to gradually clear, and as the mirror becomes crystal clear, you can see yourself, but there are a few differences. Most people might not notice them, but you do. You can tell that this is a version of yourself with more confidence, clarity, and charisma. A version of you that's an engaging presenter who clearly gives off leadership energy and is committed to getting better and better at what they do. A version of you that is a lifelong learner, a committed practitioner, and is going to succeed at presenting and standing out amongst the sea of competition as the person people want to work with, the person people want to listen to, and the person people want to follow. Imagine yourself reaching out to touch the mirror and being able to step through it and find yourself on the other side as the improved version of yourself, you 2.0. Notice how you see the world, how you sound, how you feel, where you feel those feelings, what you say to yourself. Take all the sights, sounds, feelings, and turn them up to maximum. Make them as real and vivid as you can. And bring all of that back to now, back to the present moment. Open your eyes. What did you like? What did you learn? What can you use? What did you like? What did you learn? What can you use? In the chat box, please. What did you like? What did you learn? What can you use? In the charisma section, use all. Excellent for empowerment. Thank you, my 10. See it and believe it. Thank you, Jonathan. What else? Gerhard, it's all about mindset. Mindset is critical. It's the foundation. Pablo, project confidence. Fantastic. Katinka, mindset is everything. You can change who you are. You really can. You like the visualization? Thank you. Looking confident as well. Yeah. Projecting confidence makes you feel more confident. Well, we've really only scratched the surface today, and I'm sure that you will realize there's a lot more to learn. And remember at the start when I said that I'll tell you where you can go to get more information. I will do that in just a moment. And I want to know from you, just to take, I want you to think right now just about one thing from what we've covered today, at least one thing that you've learned from this call today that you are going to take away, practice, implement in your lives. Decide what that's going to be. You can share it or not share it, that's up to you. Decide what it's going to be, commit to it, and you will succeed. So decide, commit, and succeed. One thing that you have learned from today that you are going to take into action. Good, good. The importance of energy. Great. Fantastic. Okay, good stuff. So we've scratched the surface. We remember we said we would check in with where we're going to go and where you can go to find out more. Now, you can either take the slow road, The slow road is the trial and error road, which is doing your self-learning, which may get you there eventually, but there's likely to be a few mistakes along the way, and some of them are probably going to hurt as well. But then there's also the fast way, which is like getting into a chauffeur-driven car. The driver knows the way, and you will get there fast. It's the hold your hand way to greater success and becoming a better presenter of yourself and your brand and your business. Now, I've tried the hard way and it sucks. It takes too much time, and if you're on your way up, time is something that you do not want to waste. Getting expert help means that you can take it easy. You don't have to do the heavy lifting, and you can be celebrating more wins and faster growth sooner than later. But hang on 1 minute, right? Which path are you on? Are you on the faster path, or are you on the slower path? So the slow path sucks, and the fast path, well, you can take it that bit easier, and you're going to be celebrating your successes that much sooner. So let's address very quickly then the elephant in the room. And here it is. Nobody wants to, there are some pieces of the puzzle missing, and not everything is always as it seems. So we're going to be finding the missing pieces of your puzzle, and I want to help you fill in any of the gaps. Nobody wants to give a dull presentation, right? In some corporate environments, people have even lost jobs due to poor presentations. People have lost business deals, and even more, people have missed out on sales because they suck at presenting online. And few people are going to tell you. They're not going to tell you you're doing it, or you're not going to tell you what to do about it either. So if you want the professional edge in your presentations, that you're going to make more money and help you succeed more and close the deals, I strongly encourage you at this time when many people are looking inwards and playing defense, to start thinking about playing offense and being ready for opportunities that are already around and the ones that are going to be coming when the economies of the world are working hard to repair the damages of the lockdown. So we want to make sure that we are in a position to be making more money, seizing the opportunities, grabbing those opportunities as they come up as well. So if you spent your lockdown self-medicating, snacking, hoarding toilet paper, getting all the celebrity gossip online, now it's time to switch gears. And I want you to move into from consumer to creator. So for those of you who are looking to go a bit deeper and learn more about this and go a bit faster, I have the Virtual Influence Mastery Program, which is 10 weeks to powerful online presentations. So is it for you? Well, here's what you would actually get. As more of the world continues to move online, you're going to have 10 weeks of coaching calls, live coaching calls. You're going to uncover and maximize your communication style. You're going to increase leadership perception, find and discover and use hidden rapport building techniques. You're going to have greater communication ability, more confidence, clarity, charisma. You'll find unethical persuasion secrets, and you'll learn how to engage and inspire an audience. More of the world moves online, more people are making their money working from home, and you can be the one that they're watching, listening to, and following. Now, in addition, you'll find you'll be more confident and have greater clarity to develop your natural charisma. You're going to apply and enforce respected boundaries, be understood in any situation, improve professional relationships, show up as your best self every day, leave people feeling good after interacting with you. Learn assertive empathy. So you're not a pushover, but you're not going to be aggressive either. So you want to be the one that people are watching, going into your presentations with confidence, with comfort. And to be honest, some people aren't going to want to hear this, maybe feeling overwhelmed right now, fear and negativity about what comes next. And I believe there will be a world of opportunities for those who are taking action and in momentum. And standing out from the rest is going to be important. It's true that times of change and economic crisis create more millionaires than any other times. So we don't know what's in the future, but those who are willing to look ahead and take action now are going to be the leaders. And right now, people are looking for leadership. Many people are feeling lost, and they're looking for who they should be following. So let's take a look into your future. To make sure that you don't get left behind, let's take a look. So I'll quickly inform you that the investment for virtual mastery is a low 795 euros, but please understand that this isn't for everybody. I don't just accept anyone into the program. I want to work with people who like me and people who like what I have to offer and people who I feel aligned with as well. So we should both feel the alignment and be happy to proceed. We don't want risk right now, right? We want security. So I'm not asking you to marry me. If you proceed to apply for virtual influence mastery and you're accepted, you have my word that if you're not happy with what you learn or what I'm coaching and teaching you, then and don't deliver what's promised, you have 100% guarantee of getting your money back, and I'll even let you keep all the learning materials for free so that we can part as friends. Now that is a super low risk investment that allows you an easy way out, good or good. As I said, the investment is 795 euros, which is already pretty cost effective for a 10-week coaching program. And past clients have even been able to claim their money back through their business as an expense or get their businesses to pay for it. However, we're in coronavirus times, and I want to make this decision as easy as possible and as easy to make as possible. So I'm going to give anyone who takes action from this webinar 2 classes for free. In fact, I'll do even better than that. I'll round it down to just 600 euros for the whole program. So it's I will do question and answer at the end, so you'll find out exactly what you can get for any questions that we have about this. We'll stay on a few extra minutes and you can ask them. But okay, it's coronavirus, but come on, give us more, John, right? If this is for you, then you should already be having a pretty decent idea, but maybe you need a little help deciding and turning it into a complete no-brainer. So in addition to 2 free weeks, I'm also going to give you 1 hour of private coaching in whatever area you want coaching. I've been coaching for the last 10 years for a personal development company in the US, working in just about every area of coaching and development possible. My preference is business and presentation skills. However, whatever coaching you want or need, wherever you need motivation or a breakthrough in your life, you have an hour of my time to work on a breakthrough if that's what you want to use it for. I'm okay if you want to use that time to have me as a guest on a podcast or your YouTube channel, or just to ask me lots of questions about what I do. That would usually cost 170 euros to have an hour of my time, and you're getting that added in for free. Good or good. So I'm going to give you a link if you would like to, if you would actually like to be a part of the, if you want to apply for it. Let me just get this into the chat box. So this is just a link to book in a free 20-minute, no obligation call with me. And so you're not tied into anything. You can ask me all the questions that you want about the program. You can discover whether we're going to be a good fit working together. If you've liked what you've learned today, if you want to be able to give online presentations in this sort of style and you've enjoyed this today, I can show you exactly how to do that for your audience and make it fit for you as well. So whatever your goals are, let's have a chat and figure out if we're going to be a good fit to work together in the future. So I'm not taking any sales today, but I am willing to take applications for the program if you're interested. If you're not ready to take the leap just yet, or you just want to get to know me a bit better, you can check out my podcast. So I actively encourage you to do that. You can find it in iTunes, you can find it in Spotify, it's available in all good podcasting apps. You can even find it on YouTube if you prefer. And you'll see episodes from industry experts, a chat about using your voice with the star of a new US hit comedy show. My interview recorded yesterday with a former dominatrix who's turned business development coach. That's going to be up next week. And you'll see my episode next month with the guy who's #1 in just about every business books chart right now, Mike Michalowicz. And I'm going to be talking to him about his books, some of which I'm always recommended his books to clients. His new book, Fix This Next, which is highly recommended to you if you want a really good business book to read that is relevant to everything that's going on right now. Check it out. I got my copy a few days ago. And make sure that you subscribe, and that you subscribe to the podcast so that you receive the weekly updates of the episodes and don't miss out on any great information. And well done, you made it to the end of the webinar. Ooh, so you will find that you get to have your you get to have your free copy of the slideshow from today's program. So thank you for staying with me until the end of the show. Thank you for your engagement and your participation. And for those of you who would like to chat more about the programs or what else is on offer from me, book in for your 20-minute triage call with me to find out more about what I can offer you and if we're a good fit to work together. Check out the podcast, please. Go and take a look, and well done. And we've covered a lot of ground today. I invite you now to ask any questions that you may have about anything that we've covered today or anything to do with the program. And so go ahead and put those in the chat box, please. Let's hear from you. If you want to stay on the line, you're welcome to do that. If you need to get off and do other things, absolutely, please do book in the call with me. And it's no obligation, and we will have a great chat as well. How long are the coaching sessions? They are 1 hour coaching sessions. So they will be 1 hour coaching sessions. There are going to be group coaching sessions as well. So you'll be learning from other people as well. So working with a group of people to help each other out. So depending, it's probably going to be a fairly small and intimate group. Great stuff, Gerhard. Any other questions before we wrap things up for today? They're all group. If you want one-to-one, we can have a chat about that privately. But what I'm offering right now is group coaching. My experience is that group coaching actually tends to, when everyone's working on similar goals, can be much more developmental and encouraging, and you get an idea of where other people are. You can compare and contrast and realize that more people are in similar boats to you. So it's usually pretty good. And you get a bit of a community as well, make some new friends and business contacts as well. Great, thank you, Maiten. Have a great day for yourself. Any other questions before we wrap things up for today? Okay, fantastic. Let's finish things up there then. Thank you once again for your time and energy. Go and celebrate with what you've learned, put it into practice. I'll go through the whole email list from this call. I'll be sending out your copies of the slideshow. I'll include with that a link to book in the call if you didn't catch it there in the chat. And I look forward to speaking to you and connecting with you again soon. Have a great rest of your day and rest of your week, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.